Yes, people, Waffled On in the building, and welcome to a Monday Night Madness show. Monday Night Madness, yes, and it's hosted by me, the Waffled On in the building. Listen, I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to host a show because what's the point? What is the point? I'm not going to be waiting on anyone. I'm just going to do my show tonight. I fly tomorrow to Turkey with my family, and I just thought, you know what? Let me just do one more show before I travel. Now, it's usually a panel for this show and stuff like that. But I've not told anyone today. So if anyone wants to join the stream, the links in the chat. Shout out to Tyrone. He says, yes, Waffle How is life. I don't think he shouldn't have kept Mosquera on. Listen, okay, so let's just talk about the season, yeah, and then we'll get into other bits and pieces because there's a lot of stuff I need to talk about today with everyone. It's been a crazy season, man. It's been a crazy season in terms of what we've achieved, what we could have achieved, and everything around Arsenal just seems to be a circus. Even off season, you know, it's a circus. Everything we do is scrutinized, but also as well, we have to look at ourselves in terms of, you know, the way we are on YouTube, the way AFTV have, you know, just polarized everything, and channels like myself, channels like other channels, you know, that have been on YouTube for some time now and casting opinions of teams and stuff. Because really and truly, when you look at it, the pain comes from within. Yeah, the incisions comes from within. It's not from the outside. If you're solid within your own fan base, if everyone's solid like we were yesterday at the parade, and we were all together at the parade, then the outside cannot penetrate that. But what we've done throughout the years is we've allowed, and I say we because Arsenal, we're a fan base, in it. We're supposed to be a community. We're supposed to be together. What we've allowed is for other rival fans who may stream with us, who may not stream with us, to get comfortable, to get too comfortable. You see it with the likes of Saeed, you see it with the likes of Rants, you see it with the likes of all these other guys, yeah, that have made their name mainly on Arsenal, not on their channels, because no one cares about their channels as in terms of their teams, because their teams haven't really done anything. Social media wasn't really popping off when Man United were winning Premier Leagues, to be honest. You know, Man City, I would say, have the social media era. Even with Liverpool, the social media era wasn't popping off. Do you know what I'm saying? It's only like that COVID season where everyone was mainly in. But that's not to take away anything from any of their achievements. But notice right now that all the rival fans have done the Avengers Assembled, and everyone's against Arsenal. Everyone has this affinity with each other against Arsenal right now. You know, I was on with Mido, big him up earlier, and I've never seen the likes of Mido behavior towards Arsenal because we lost a Champions League. I've never seen so much hostility from fan bases. And whilst it shouldn't be a big thing, it's something that we should talk about. And I must reiterate this year that during the WhatsApp just coming out era, there weren't this group. There weren't these groups. There weren't all of this. There weren't all of that. The banter was on the pitch and it was left on the pitch. So there weren't these Twitters and these social media groups and all of this. I think online social media now has enhanced it so bad that you've got universal fans, global fans, and a lot of these people, yeah, they're rage baiters. I'm on Twitter sometimes and I just see man just chatting rubbish. This person's the best in the world and this player and that, yeah. And you know who the player I'm talking about. But when people say things like that, it's almost associated with every Arsenal fan. Every Arsenal fan. So, for example, Saka's the best right winger in the world. That's what people say. But you get players, you get fans from the likes of Africa that just coming out of some nonsense, bro. Yeah, just to rage bait, just to actually wind rival fans up. And not, do you know what? I don't even really care about rival fans, to be honest. Yeah, I'll be real with you, because at the end of the day, yeah, achieving what we've achieved this season against Man City, who no one's saying bottled the league, which they did bottle the league in my opinion. You know, I feel that it was our time. It was our time, and it was written that we were supposed to win this league, bro. Now, the Champions League thing, that was difficult. That was very difficult, because I believe now, if we had won that Champions League, then quiet. There wouldn't have been no stream earlier today, because man would have been crying. Rivals would have been crying. But that's just in hindsight. That's just in hindsight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And yes, I understand the banter. Arsenal have never won a Champions League. So how can you call yourself a big club? I get all of that. But how can people that have only seen football in the last 15 years talk on things they haven't seen? Big club doesn't have to be always globally, yeah. You can be a big club in your country. You can be a good big club in Europe, yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's teams that are very good teams that have not won Champions Leagues, have been very good in their own countries and not won Champions Leagues. But I suppose that's the bar, isn't it? That Arsenal, that we raise Arsenal to, isn't it? That they have to win a Champions League, which we do have to win a Champions League. And yesterday, it's that one individual, I say, mistake, yeah. Because I don't listen. You see, yesterday, yeah, I'll be real with you, yeah. I watched that game, and I knew Arsenal weren't going to be like gung ho and going band for band. That's not how you go against bigger teams like that, because one, you're going to get battered if you try and play the PSG way, yeah. And we don't have the players to do that. We have the defenders, but we don't have the strikers. We don't have the forwards. We don't have the. Listen, Saka doesn't really even have that much pace. He's not a pacey guy. So Mendes, I would say one of the best left backs in the world, suited his play to a T. Saka's not, I wouldn't say, an excellent dribbler. He's got that one little drop of the shoulder and stuff like that, and he can ping a ball. But he weren't going to get past Mendes like that. Trossard, another player that he's not a winger. You know, you can call him a 10, whatever you want to call him, half, whatever, wing fielder, whatever you want to call these players. They're not them type of players. So it's always going to be difficult. And when we scored after 5 minutes, that was unexpected. That was unexpected. And I said this, yeah. I said this on my stream. I think we scored a bit too. We scored early now, yeah, and now it's going to be a case of: is he going to sit? Is he going to think? Is he going? You know, I'm not one for making excuses, but Mosquera played excellent yesterday, or sorry, on Saturday. Mosquera was brilliant until that lapse of concentration, until he made that mistake, that tackle. And I believe we're going to learn from that. I believe as a club we're going to learn from that. It's going to be difficult next season. Going into the Premier League with these new managers, and it's funny, a lot of these managers are all midfielders. You know, you've got Carrick. I don't know what Areola was. I don't know what type of, was he a midfielder or a defender? I don't know. You've got Arteta. What was Maresca? What did Maresca play? Who's the other one? Was De Zerbi a midfielder? I don't know. A lot of these players, just crazy, just crazy. I'm thinking there's other midfielders as well, but I just can't think of who managers that have come into the game now. But it's mad. It's mad. It's, you know what? Yeah. For all the stress, throughout the season, for all the breakups. I wouldn't say breakups, for all the fallouts with people and stuff like that. We finally got over the line. We got over the line, and you know what? There's still things that I see that I know the manager needs to learn. Yeah. And if he's talking like he wants big things next season, then he will have to bring in better attackers, in my opinion. I know he's got his favourites. I know he loves his players and stuff like that, but he's definitely going to have to bring in better players. That final hurt, man. That final hurt, especially the penalties and especially the Eze miss as well. The banter let it all work out. You know, he's still won 2 trophies in 2 years, bro. 2 seasons. Imagine. You can't even imagine it now. Next season's gonna be different, man. I don't believe that the Champions League is gonna be the route is gonna be so easy. But every season brings new challenges, people. You have to remember that this is a World Cup year. So many players are probably gonna come back, mash up, injured. Probably not playing for the first 2 months of a season, your best players. And that's talking about all the top teams in the Premier League. Yeah, that's talking about Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Man City. It depends. The further they get into the competition, the more rest they're going to need starting the season. So you know what? Yeah, this is next season. I think is going to be squad reliant. When I mean squad reliant, yeah, from the start, yeah, like how Pep used to rotate early his teams from the start of the league. I just think Arsenal going to have to do that as well. So you're not going to see the likes of Saka starting. You probably see the likes of Madueke. He's going to England as well, but I think he won't be playing as much. But a lot of the teams are going to have to do that. And this is where I feel that the teams that have the very good squads right now will excel, you know, in the first 10, 15 games. I do believe, and I hate to say this, I do believe Man United are going to cook something up. Yeah. I do believe that Man United, how they've ended the season to where they were, they are going to be a team to look out for. You know, it's all bants and everything, yeah. But when it comes down to the serious talk, yeah, I can get serious. I do know ball, so I can be serious, yeah. But there's Man City as well. There's the question mark of how are Man City going to be under Maresca? Maresca's a good manager, yeah. There's no denying Maresca's a good manager. He's a very good manager. So there's all these little things that next season, you know, Already, I'll tell you this now. Before a ball has been kicked, Arsenal are maybe the favourites, but Arsenal are literally rival fans are saying are probably going to say that Arsenal should be winning the Premier League. They're not going to be saying their own clubs. They're going to be saying Arsenal should be winning the Premier League, because this is proper rivalry now. Proper rivalry, proper hate. And I have to ask this question, yeah? When does the banter not being banter anymore? When does the banter stop being banter? When does it go too far? Because no one can give me that answer. Going to parades and wearing opposition tops and everything like that, it's unprecedented. I've never seen it before. I've never seen this type of nonsense in the history of football. I just find it ridiculous. But people see it as banter. But that banter could go very wrong for people, yeah. And it's good that Arsenal fans are quite, you know what I mean? They're humble at times, but you have to understand that sometimes if you're in the wrong place, yeah, North London isn't a joke of an area, no. Even when I was growing up, I didn't used to like going to North London, man. And you know, I'm not a shook guy, but Tottenham, them ends, not for me. I can go south anywhere in south, but North London, yeah, North London's a bit booky for me, man. But I've been going North London quite a bit now, recently. I'm getting older now, innit? So why is anyone gonna bother me, innit? And obviously it's diversified quite a lot now. You know, you've got your middle class areas, but you've also got a lot of different cultures embracing the area as well. So yeah, it's all good, man. But I want to talk about a few things today, because I like to talk ball, I like to talk football, and I see there's a few drillers in the chat as well. Big up to Manny as well. I'm gonna come to your chat as well, Manny. As I said, the links in the chat, people. If anyone wants to join, they can join the Waffle Don doing his thing. And we keep the discussion going. There's a chat in here. I'll put it on I'll pin it to the chat on the normal channel. But let's talk about, because this is an Arsenal, I'm Waffle Don, innit? So I'm an Arsenal fan, innit? So I'm mostly going to talk about my team. I want to talk about some of the players this season that I just feel that they've just been amazing. Players that have been amazing this season. So I want to one guy first. The likes of Declan Rice. And I speak about Declan Rice, yeah, because there was a moment in the season where I thought it was all over. And the famous video where he said it's not over yet. Crouched down and he said it's not over yet. Even against the Champions League, where he looked actually psycho, actually, when he's doing that smile. Like when we lost on penalty, he's doing some weird look, boy. I looked quite shook when he was giving that look. The man was smiling like the Joker, you know. He looked kind of milly. But for him to come to Arsenal, and he's been such a pivotal player this season. He hardly got injured this season. Hardly missed many games this season. And you noticed when he wasn't in that midfield how weak we looked. Imagine a midfield of just Zubi and Miles, or Zubi and Norgard. I don't think we win this title. So Declan Rice, man, hold your head up. You've been magnificent. Obviously, the centre backs, our defense as well, man, has been amazing, immaculate defense. The likes of Timber when he was fit, Gabriel and Saliba. The best defensive partnership in the world football right now. They're the best. And yes, I'm calling them world class. I am calling them world class. Because in 90 minutes of football against the best team in the world, yeah, they got their penalty, but they weren't able to score against us. You know, Kvaratskhelia, bad boy footballer, yeah, but he had no change. Yeah, he got his change in the end, yeah, but him and Dembele, they had nothing. Nothing. Fine margins. That's the two words that define that final is fine margins, because they weren't better than Saliba. They weren't better than Gabriel. Gabriel and Saliba were just immense in that game. Even in Capier, I thought he was brilliant as well. Our defense is amazing. And I'm gonna always keep talking up my defense. I don't care what anyone says. We keep that defense, we bolster the midfield, our attack, we make that better, then we could be scary. But the manager also has to lower, you know what I mean? Take the shackles off. He has to be able to just, right, we've got over the line now. Let's build from here and let's do it. So that's where I think, my lips are dry, man. Oh my god, I need to put some. That's where I think that the big question mark is for next season. But in terms of other players' performances, Rice, Zubi had his games. Trossard, second half of the season, last few games, a lot of players showed themselves up in the last few games. Gyökeres had an okay season. Lacks a lot technically, but you know what? He can strike a ball. You know, the likes of Madueke, I don't know. But it's so sad that we went all this way unbeaten in the Champions League and we lost it on penalties. Isn't that so crazy that we lost it on penalties at the end of the Champions League? I can't see us doing that. I can't see us doing that again. Let's look at some of the comments, man. Shout TTM, man. Big him up. I personally feel like you Arsenal fans are too rattled by your rivals being against you. I don't understand what you man's issues with this is. This is the nature of being on top. You know what? You're right. It's the nature of being on top. I think Arsenal fans are reading into it too much. Of course, modern social media has amplified it. Yeah, literally don't touch Twitter. Absolutely zero useful footy talk on there. But it's good for transfers. That's why I mainly signed up to Twitter, just for the transfers. But you're always seeing some foolish people, man. Even people from like Arsenal fans talking the most, bro. Every 2 minutes, you're seeing a tweet from, you know, people that, you know, are streamed with and stuff like that. I'm thinking, raw. Even down to the parade, the numbers in the parade and stuff, yeah. So what if Liverpool had more and it's pathetic, man. It's pathetic. This is why I say, like, everything has to be like, I've got more than you. You know, I've got more than you. It just gets ridiculous, bro, at times for me. If people love that style, that lifestyle, and you know, having Twitter arguments or tweeting, stripping this all of that, I'll leave them to it, bro. But me, I kind of only use Twitter for like my breaking news and my stories for transfers and stuff, because I find it quite useful. Obviously, Fab's on there. Ben Jacobs, and there's loads of man on there, Graham Bailey and all that. So loads of people on there. Ever since Elon Musk took over Twitter, made it possible to get money for clicks. It's long. No one is serious. Yeah, man. I agree. The game plan was right. I just don't think you have the quality throughout the squad to do it yet. Some people think Arsenal scored too early. I'm kind of half on that. Yeah, you know what? Scoring too early doesn't stop you from scoring again. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when you can see that the team's vulnerable, yeah, you go and score again. You go and score again. That's what I think anyway. Maresca was a mid two, yeah, midfield. Okay. Hey, big up to Skills as well. Skills, the rivals are still celebrating like it was their club who won. Here's the biggest up here, but big him up as well. Big up Nems. He's always here, man. Big him up, man. Make sure you go and subscribe to Nems as well. Yeah, what do we need in the summer, bro? What players do we need? There's talk of Morgan Rogers, but I think Morgan Rogers is not going to be easy to get. I think there's going to be several clubs after him. I think the likes of Man City. There was even talk of PSG after him. He's a sought after player, man. He's a very good player, man. People don't think that he's that great, but for me, the last couple of seasons, I've seen his progression, man. And I think as a player, I think he gets into many of the Premier League teams, and I would definitely welcome Morgan Rogers if we have the chance. He can play multiple positions as well. It's not just like, and this is Arteta, isn't it? Arteta likes his players playing across multiple different areas, not just the one particular area. Eze can play on the 10, but he can also play on the left, which I don't like seeing him on the left. But I suppose Morgan Rogers can play in the 10 as well, and I suppose he can play. They say he can play up front as well, but I don't know about that. So yeah, let us know who you guys would like at the club, and who you would like us to go after. Not just who you think the club are going to go after, but who you would like to go after. Because Arsenal, I believe, Josh is going to be throwing a £300 million war chest at Arteta. So I think it's our opportunity to go out and buy some players that are going to help us. Is this dust on here? Bit dust on my thing, later. That's going to enhance our team and make us better next season. TTM says a lot of Arsenal fans are asking to dominate. The secret to dominate is letting go of the emotional connections to the players and being ready to replace them anytime. Yep. You see that comment there? That's for you, Arteta, man. It's like the likes of Odegaard and stuff like that. Do you keep him? He's had a lot of injuries over the last couple of seasons. People just remember the last games and, oh no, we need to keep him and stuff like that. But you don't need to keep players like that. You can get rid of them if you want to. If you're competitive and you want the best for your club, yeah, you make the change. Look at Pep. Pep didn't mess about. Pep didn't mess about. When he wanted better players, you're out. You're out. If you've had like a dead season, you're out. You're out of the club. Our attack is so dead. We need better attackers. 100%. Very true. Nem says subscribe and like. Skill says I feel like you need a few midfielders too, not to help with defense, but to improve your ball progression and creativity. Yeah, we need like a Vintinia or whatever, however you say his name. We need someone that, like a Cazorla, that can just get on the ball, yeah, and just dictate play. I do like Miles, yeah, but I don't think Miles is ready to take up a full campaign in the Premier League, but he has the potential. He has the potential to grow into a very good player. Bring me Mr. Fernandez. He ain't going nowhere. Hey, shout to Manny, says, big up. I hope you enjoyed the parade on Sunday. Shame about Budapest. Arteta had his chance to make history and he mucked it. Outclassed tactically by Enrique. You're spot on. We need to rotate. Do you know what though? It's no. There's no shame to be outclassed by Enrique though. This is the thing as well. Yeah. As much as I wanted that final, yeah, it was the Premier League and the Champions League. Either one of those we had to win. We had to win one or the other. I wanted both, obviously. You get greedy once you win the Premier League, you believe you could win the Champions League. But you have to remember who we're going up against. You have to remember the team we're going up against. The way they smashed Inter Milan last season, yeah, the way they batter teams, just PSG are such a remarkable team. They're a very good team, and we are not on their level. We are nowhere near their level. Our defense can talk to them, but also their defense is good as well. But this is what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to see where your level's at when you're playing these type of teams, and we're some way off. And Arteta needs to find that balance in terms of, you know, the right pedigree in the team, because I don't believe. I see the thing is, right, we could have a great defense, but I think that teams will work us out after a few games next season. I feel that. Look at Saliba already now. I'm already seeing like things that Saliba could be out for the World Cup because he's had back issues, and he's had back issues quite a lot. So is this an indication that Saliba could be out for part of the season next season? So we've got Nkapie, we've got Calafiori, so we have got cover there, but still the back two in it changes us, you know. We need more reinforcements in the team. We need to take the pressure away from the defense instead of like constantly relying on our defense. We need to score more goals, be more attack minded, more rigid in midfield. And that's where we should be thinking right now. Our defense is sorted. We don't need to think about the defense. Manny says, but knowing Arteta, he won't, and that's the issue. That's the big question mark for me, man. Need a new midfielder alongside Rice. And you know the crazy thing as well, yeah, is that I've given Arteta his praise for winning the league and stuff like that, yeah, and you know, big him up and everything, yeah. But let's not mistake this next season. If I see slacking off, you will start to see man piping up, because when you're at that level, you don't decide to just, because I've won, I'm just going to just take it easy. You need to keep going. You need to keep going. Yeah. And I won't allow us to just slip into mediocrity just be happy just because we've won our first Premier League in 22 years. I want to see more trophies. I want to see doubles. Yeah. I want to see the Champions League. That's what I want to see. Yeah. I want to see that. Zubi ain't it. Skelly can play midfield. Yes, but we need better. TTM says, if you think about it, it's kind of an open season, like 4 different teams could make the right signings and win it. Yep. No one fears Arsenal as well. Let's be real, yeah. No one fears Arsenal. Arsenal are not like City, where, you know what, they've got clutch players that can go to every ground and just mash up teams. Arsenal are not like that. And this is what I'm saying. We need to be a team that are feared. We only lost 2 games at the Emirates last season. I want a season where we don't lose any. We don't lose any games. That's what I want to see. I think only United and City will challenge us. Liverpool, I think Liverpool will challenge us as well, you know. I think Liverpool, with Areola's style, yeah, I think they'll be dangerous. Because we don't, when Liverpool got their plug and play style. Yeah, they're not easy team to play against. I don't think there's an answer to that. I think we live in a weird time, clout chasing, clip farming. I can't understand seeing Chelsea United fans at the parade yet. Did not expect Jed Spence to banter. He's so shameless, bro, man. Finished 17th. Hey, listen. Jed Spence, yeah, I gave you a tracksuit once, yeah, and your mum wore it. So you know what? You need to calm yourself down, my brother. Yeah. But welcome to Big M in the building. How you doing, my bro? You all right?
Thanks, brother. Good evening to you. And
Yes,
I'm not exactly wearing red and white, but the red is
I can see the red, man. I can see the red, man. What's going on?
Yeah, nothing much. Listen, I'm really glad that you're doing this review. I wasn't expecting you to put the link up, but I'm glad you did. And I did send a message telling you that I'd join in ASAP. Just had to get some work done. But my first question to you is, did you go all the way to see the parade?
Right. You're going to hate me for this. My parade was last week, and I'll tell you why I didn't go yesterday, because it was my mum's 70th birthday yesterday, and I took the time out to go and see my mother, which is my priority. I could have rocked up at North London, but I just thought to myself, you know what? Last week, I went with my family, you know, I saw everything. It's going to be the same thing. I don't really like overcrowded places. And I just think I just didn't want to stand in those crowded places. So I spent the day with my mum, and I'm happy I did that.
I could never hate you. Before actually starting this whole YouTube thing, I lost my mum on Christmas Day in 2021. So I can tell you right now that for doing what you did, you are a smart man, a top son. Your parents are lucky to have you, as is your family. I applaud you. Oh, my bad. I do apologize.
That's all right. Same year as well. But yeah, we move.
Yeah, and I would also say that you showed the foresight of not, going yesterday and having your parade the week before, because, we had already won the league by then, I would say. Yeah. But I think it's fair to say that what happened in Budapest, and I mentioned it in the chat, shame about Budapest, that was just an anticlimax, wasn't
it? You know, it's so hard to describe what happened that day, because I felt like it was our time, and especially when Havertz scored, yeah, I thought all we need to do. I remember Skills was in the chat as well on the watch along, and he was saying, like, we're gonna do this, but listen, we needed to get to half time. I was like, get to half time, keep it 0-0. I mean, keep it 1-0. Second half, just be patient. And then those first couple of minutes, the mascara, yellow cards, and then we just seem to be just hoofing the ball out all the time. Every time we got the ball, we just seem to be hoofing it. And that's not the Arsenal way. We just kept giving up possession. PSG were just taking their time, moving the ball around left to right, moving it, here, there, and everywhere. And I just felt we exerted a lot of energy in those 20 minutes before they scored. There was a few times on the break where I think Barcola had chances. They was running down the left, nearly scored. I think Skelly was excellent on Saturday as well. But then we were relying on a 19-year-old to literally keep us in the game. The defenders were great, and I don't even want to blame Mosquera. I do not want to blame him, but if he doesn't make that mistake, that penalty, that kick, do you think we go on to win the game?
It's hard to say, because I'll tell you this. The first half, especially the first 20 minutes, I thought, we got it spot on. And obviously, the talk of the Twitter sphere, especially from these, pundits and know-it-alls, was how Arteta did get it spot on by, going defensive, because if you tried to sort of play openly against this PSG team, you'd be asking for trouble. Ironically, of course, last season when Aston Villa played them in the Champions League, they were a little bit too open, made some mistakes at the back. But to their credit, they also had enough about them to score some good goals. And, you know, they very nearly pulled off an amazing comeback in the quarterfinal, you know, winning that second leg 3-1. I think they won it 3-2 at Villa Park. Had they scored another goal, it would have gone to extra time, and who knows what would have happened. But they showed that it is possible to, you know, get at that defence. And we've also got to say that that defence with the likes of Marquinhos and others could be got at. And it was Marquinhos' mistake that actually led to the goal. I will keep it real, though. I actually thought it would be disallowed because it did smack Trossard on his arm. And you will know, Don, that whenever there is a hand assist which leads to a goal, then by the letter of the law, that has to be chalked off.
Yep.
But then, that aside, we were playing very well. We were stifling them. We were making them lose their composure. And yet when they started to, you know, recover and get back at us, I told myself, you know what? It's going to type all over again. This is just Arteta's tactics in excelsis. And what also angered me as well was that, you know, while Arteta kept making substitutions, Enrique was keeping his powder dry, so to speak. So as a consequence, we ended up, you know, tiring ourselves out. And, you know, PSG just looked so much fresher and stronger. And they kept, you know, coming at us. They probably had the better chances the whole game. I don't know if Raya, I think Raya made 1 or 2 saves, but let's not make out that he was absolutely flawless that night. He had a horrible clearance, which went straight to a PSG attacker.
Yeah.
And was saved. Exactly. And in stark contrast, apart from that Havertz goal, we didn't even force Safanov, the PSG goalkeeper, into making a save. And that's the biggest indictment. You take a lead and then you just sit back and sit back and sit back. When you play that sort of a game, you're asking for trouble.
Did we sit? Oh, no, we did. Yeah, we did.
And I'll say this. In the second half, we did look to sit back. But in the first half, also, let's not deny that we had some really good chances. I think maybe not chances, but we were also making headway against, you know, Nuno Mendes. I think Saka was, you know, running really well. The only problem is that, you know, Saka just wasn't able to have the type of output that we wanted. And ironically, you know, when he was supposed to take that corner, which is one of his specialities, you know, the referee blew the whistle for half time, and rightly so, because, you know, we were time wasting a bit. And then, you know, it's as if when you display that level of insecurity and you feel as though you have to stay defensive, you don't, you cannot, you know, try to look to hit them where it hurts. You are going to ask for trouble. And Arteta just allowed himself to be tactically outmaneuvered by Enrique. It went to penalties, but then, again, it was just another of those games where I was thinking to myself, Arteta, you absolute coward. And I remember going on the legend that is Jez Collins' stream. Shout out to Jez's Arsenal, by the way. Yeah. And I remember saying that in many ways, this defeat was even worse than the Europa League final defeat to Chelsea in Baku. Yes, we were thrashed. No, but listen, hear me out. We were thrashed 4-1. We got our backsides handed to us. And when we scored through Alex Iwobi, I mean, the game was already over as a contest. And there's still a big part of me that feels that, you know, once our defenders started to play as if they didn't give a toss, the writing was effectively on the wall, and not even Petr Cech could do anything about that. Even if we had started Bernd Leno in that match, we wouldn't have done anything. You know, if we had won that final, maybe we wouldn't have had much of a chance against that star-studded Chelsea team. But had we won, you know, it would have been historic. A European trophy for Unai Emery in his first season, that would have been, you know, just amazing. But I think the players just down tools on him. So we kind of expected it. But this one, we made all these noises, about how we qualified for the final being unbeaten. We're talking about the prospect of receiving a gold Champions League trophy to go with our gold Premier League trophy, and said we just ignored the fact that we had a fairly easy draw. And we also ignored the adage that it's always a marathon and never a sprint. And just because you finish top of the league phase, that doesn't mean that you go all the way through and go on to win it. And sadly, we found that out the hard way. And there were moments when we were on top of them, and we should have done more, but we just allowed it to slip. And the less said, of course, about the penalties, the better. I'm old enough, of course, to remember Italia 90, the semi-final between England and West Germany in Turin, We dominated the Germans. We were much the better team. The Germans, of course, were smart enough to take a lead through that Andy Bremer free kick. Lord rest his soul, of course. And then Gary Lineker, old reliable, equalised with 10 minutes to go. Extra time, you know, we had Peter Shilton turning back the clock with some glorious saves, and then Chris Waddle hit the post. We also had the post hit by one of their German players. It might have been Argenthaler, I don't remember. And then it went to penalties. And the thing about the penalties as well was that while we took our penalties superbly, I believe it was Lineker, Beardsley, and Platt who took the first three. The Germans were just, they were so ice cold and efficient that Shilton had no chance. The ball was past him before he could even blink. And then we all know what happened. Stuart Pearce, you know, blasts his penalty into Bodo Illner's legs. Olaf Thon puts the Germans ahead. And then Waddle, who could have won it in extra time, had the was under pressure to, you know, keep us in the contest. He goes for power instead of placement and blasts it over the bar. Penalties, Don, are always going to be a bit of a big lottery. But then you also have to just wonder, if as a coach, you know that there's a chance for penalties, why do you not consider making sure that everyone is prepared to take a penalty? Everyone has got to make sure they practice their penalty technique, get it spot on, and make sure that they are ready. To have been in a situation where Gabriel Magalhaes was the final one to take it, we all know Stuart Pearce, Gareth Southgate, John Terry for Chelsea fans. Oh, I love saying that because I can't stand that guy. Absolute scumbag of the first order. Never should have been England captain. Ugh. Sol Campbell's better than him any day. Come at me, Chelsea fans. I don't care. But anyway, defenders taking penalties is always a big risk unless you have a track record of doing well. We never knew Gabriel Magalhaes' track record. So if you want to make sure that you plan well ahead, because it's like, when we subbed off Saka and Odegaard and a few other players, we also knew that we were subbing off some of our best penalty takers. And so if you want to hold on for penalties, you've got to make damn well sure that you prepared well enough beforehand to make sure that everyone is ready, and especially your most technical players are in a position to want to take it. And so when you're in a situation where Magalhaes had to take the penalty when we could have had Zubamendi or Madueke or someone else take it, you know, it was just... It was just awful. And this is another reason why, big up to Gianni, by the way. Buongiorno, fratello mio. Come va? Bene?
Ciao, paesano. Tutto a posto, tutto a posto.
Grazie. And so it's like, when you have a situation where the manager basically doesn't, you know, do his due diligence, do his homework, as we would say, doesn't really take preparation seriously. I mean, compared to other managers, he just wings it. Somehow he has this type of charisma, so to speak, which gets people on his side almost too easily. But then you can't just keep, you know, half-arsing your way through everything. And we always say, you know, BS may get you to the top. It's not going to keep you there. And that's another reason why I'm really worried about next season. And I will, you know, stop flapping my gums and let Gianni come in. I will say this right now. This Champions League defeat has to be a watershed. It has to be, you know, something that makes us realize that when you have this much hurt at being so close and yet being so far, you must never, ever want to repeat it. And obviously, I don't think Gianni follows rugby, although I think he might have watched an Italian rugby game. I don't know if you like rugby very much, Don. But this brilliant film, Invictus, Matt Damon.
I've seen that. South Africa.
And so, yes, and you will have seen a scene where after Damon, who played the role of Francois Pienaar, the South African captain, the team suffers an awful defeat, and they go back into the dressing room. There's a bucket full of ice cold beer waiting for them, and Damon tells the boys, "Have a can, down it." And after they down it, Damon tells them, "It tastes horrible, this beer, after such a heavy defeat. And now that you know how horrible that beer tastes, you should never, ever, ever want to experience that again. You must make sure you want to win your games so that when you have that beer afterwards, it will taste delicious." Of course, being Italian, our friend Gianni might not prefer beer. A nice crapper might do him a world of good, but I'm sure he gets it.
Big up Gianni in the building, man. How you doing, my bro?
Good. Another day, another $1.50. What's going on?
We're just here, just reflecting, man, over the season, over the game that we lost on Saturday. I didn't really hear too much from you on Saturday. Obviously, the odd message here and there. But what's your thoughts when we peel it back and we look at the result, when we the way the game ended? Is there a bit of disappointment for you, or you over it already, or what's your
No,
thought?
I mean, listen, it sucks that we lost the Champions League final, but at the same time, we didn't take our chances when we should have. I listen. Yes, Havertz scored the goal. In my opinion, Havertz should not have started the game, and neither should have Odegaard. Now, listen, Odegaard, I think, probably played his best game as far as a defensive situation, but besides that, I didn't see anything that I really cared for. The one thing I will say is I want to give mad props to Lewis Skelly, because in that first half, he showed up big time. And for anybody who was sitting here doubting that kid throughout the season, there is no room for mistake that this kid needs to get monster minutes next year. He did everything that we have asked, that we've needed that side of the defense, that side of the midfield to do, that to aid Declan Rice going forward. So I think, if anything, Skelly's definitely proven that he's going to be a valuable part of the team going forward. Having said that, for me, the biggest problem in the game is we did not do what previous PSG history has been required to knock that team out. We did not attack their weak link, which is Marquinhos, which is exactly why I said Gyökeres should have been the one to start the game over Havertz. I'm going to give Havertz his props. That was a fantastic finish. Did not expect him to pull that off. It is what it is. He scored. However, I don't understand how there has been so many teams in the recent history of Champions League that have been able to knock out PSG because of their frailties at the back. And I'm sorry, our defense is good. This ain't no 94, 95 AC Milan team where you're going to stink your way to the top the way that they did and just keep inviting pressure. I feel that Mosquera, it is what it is. That's a youngster learning his trade in the biggest game of his career. It's unfortunate that he gave away a penalty. It is a penalty. I'm not hearing no stupidity as far as people saying, oh, we got robbed and all that. We didn't get robbed. Okay? Here's the problem at the end of the day. In that game, when it's a one-off final, you need to hold on to the momentum as long as possible. We gave the momentum away as soon as we scored the goal. We tried to shithouse our way to winning that final. Now, listen, I fully said that I thought Arsenal was going to win on penalties because I did not think that we would take enough. I said 2-2 and that we would win 5-3 on penalties. Now,
and I remember saying, Johnny, sorry to cut, I remember saying, Johnny, briefly, that you should have bought a lottery ticket that day.
I want to ask you before you continue. Yeah, you mentioned about the Mosquera situation. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's some telepathic between us guys. Yeah, when Mosquera got that yellow, yeah, did you guys think now Timber has to come on? Timber has to come on. He played an hour, by the way.
He did play an hour. I really didn't think that Timber needed to come on until later, once I saw that it was getting closer to extra time. It's something that, again, it's something that you have to take a chance with. Again, Timber hasn't played in what? I think they said 11 weeks, nearly 3 months.
Yeah.
You can't put somebody who has no game time against the best left winger in the world.
See how he? Did you see? He's world class. He's exceptional,
bro. He is world class. But let's also keep it real. Saka and Trossard spent more time doubling up on the wingers to aid it out, to try to help out defensively, than it was one-on-one. Yeah. When Mosquera and Timber got hit one-on-one, they were getting smoked. Yeah. Let's not play revisionist history here. Saka was immense defensively, and we knew that Saka was going to need to do that because of the fact that we know that Mosquera is a young buck learning his trade at that position. He's not a true right back. He's a center back. He's played center back majority of the times when we've seen him this year. So again, he did do well for when he was called upon. He did give Vara problems in the early goings of the game once we got the momentum going our way when we scored the goal. But once we came out of the second half, that momentum was gone because the couple times that we tried to push up a little bit, let's all be honest here, we got lucky that PSG didn't score all them goals when they had breakaways, when it was just the wingers going up against the center backs. We're lucky that for anybody who tries to say we need Barcola, no, that guy can't do fucking shit. He's fast and that's all it is. He can't finish. He's scared to even try to play a ball into the center for Nabella and everything else. We should not be looking at Barcola just for that regard. But again, Mosquera and Hincapié, I think both did really well. I want to give a huge shout out to Hincapié because he was playing like a freaking warrior with cramps. You saw every single time the ball's on the right-hand side while he was in play that he was trying to stretch his leg out because we had no more substitutes at that time. At the end of the day, this is all I want to say. I think we're getting a lot of stick. At the same time, we're getting a lot of stick because I think a lot of the opposing fans wanted us to get blown out by PSG. Anybody who knows the sport of football, anybody who's watched Arsenal throughout the year, anybody who thought we were going to have a shootout and go toe-to-toe with PSG, they were smoking crack. It wasn't going to happen. If we tried that, we would have got annihilated just like Inter did. Let's just all be honest.
They wanted that. They wanted that.
And we all said that what did we all say in the previews? We have to score first, otherwise we're in big trouble. Yeah. We scored first. We tried doing it the defensive route. Now, the problem is this. As Manny said, we didn't take enough chances. That back line of PSG is not that good. Let's all just be honest about it. And again, if everybody remembers history, outside of now them going back to back, every time PSG gets eliminated, it's because Marquinhos is always the center back that's out of position. And he was out of position plenty of times in that game. We just did not have any mental fortitude, whether it was because of the manager or the players being drained, to go and single him out and to attack him. For some reason, we always tried to go off the sides of Pachu, and Pachu had a great game. Let's all be honest. Pachu had a very good game for PSG. The two best center backs on the pitch was Gabriel and Saliba. They were monsters that whole game. Nothing was coming through that box that they weren't dealing with. And I want to give a huge shout out to them. But at the end of the day, this is why we need a right winger, or not a right winger. This is why we need a left winger. And this is why we also need to get rid of Havertz. Yes, he showed up. I congratulate him. I appreciate it. You helped us win the title this year. You helped us get to the Champions League final. But I'm sorry, man. I have to say this, and I don't want to come off like a jag-off saying this, but it's got to be said. Nobody deserves to throw any type of shame at Diego Simeone because we played Simeone ball that final. Yes, we almost got away with it, but we played the exact same way a Diego Simeone team played in that final. There's no getting around it. We need to get real that we need better attackers. The entire attack, barring Gyökeres and Saka, in my opinion, all need to go. Jesus needs to go. Havertz needs to go. Martinelli needs to go. Trossard needs to go. They all need to go. They all need to go.
Did you just say Saka as well?
No. I didn't say Saka. I said Saka and Gyökeres are the only two that stay. Yeah. All the rest of them got to go.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though, and I actually want to just throw it to both of you, gentlemen. The thing about Saka with me is that he's also, his output has sort of decreased a little bit. There was a point, in the middle to late half of the season where I thought that he would never, come back into the team because he was that run into the ground. We all saw that when we played Wolves at Molineux, whenever he'd run for the ball, you just have two Wolves defenders coming back and they pick it off him like, just taking a lollipop away from a little baby. And, it was almost kind of miraculous in the way I thought that he was able to come back in. The biggest fear that I have, gentlemen, is that we all kind of understood what happened with Aubameyang. I will agree that, he didn't do himself any favors with some of his antics at the time, but I still believe that he was definitely no sinner. He was no devil, and a devil in addition to not being a saint. But you had a situation where he went from being a Golden Boot winning striker to effectively being shunted out into the left wing back position and being asked to almost effectively hug the touchline. And in many ways, he had the enjoyment drained out of him.
Mhm.
What we're seeing with Saka right now is a bloke who's being run into the ground right now, who had a horrific injury where, as we all remember, his hamstring was literally ripped away from the bone, and now he's being forced back. Why we saw it fit to get Madueke, I don't know. And to those idiots who actually think that, Madueke would be, an upgrade in some respects on Ethan Nwaneri, you all need to just wind your necks in because you have have a lot of awful footballing knowledge. Because Madueke isn't really it, Saka has literally had to be overplayed. And my biggest fear is that now he is one of the highest paid players in the team with that bumping new contract. But so was Aubameyang. And so Saka could end up turning into the next Aubameyang, in that when he has a drop-off in form and when he starts to feel a little bit drained, and when it comes time for the fans to pick a side, they're going to side with the manager over the player. So would it therefore not be better, because we know that Arteta's not going to go anywhere, would it therefore not be better to try to, offer Saka for sale and maybe start the process of reintegrating Max Dam and Ethan Nwaneri into the team and let Saka enjoy his football elsewhere under a much better, more tactically sensitive manager who will allow him to just enjoy playing football again? Because let's not forget, the poor boy is also going to be at the World Cup. And I wonder if Tuchel will use him. I think Tuchel had enough sense to send some players back when he knew that they weren't going to be 100% fit. I hope Tuchel will be sensible. But again, the way Saka's being overworked, I just wonder if he's better off away from Arsenal than away from Arteta.
See, I personally think I agree with you to a certain extent, but here's the flip side of that. The last 5 games with Lewis Skelly being the midfielder to do the running, to bring the ball forward into a more offensive position, Saka and Trossard look 10 times better because they're not carrying the ball from halfway up to the 18-yard box and then trying to start the offense. That's the whole reason
and
why.
just briefly, where was Skelly before that? He was at left back. So whose fault is that? The manager's.
Correct.
Go ahead, bro.
But that's my whole point to why I'm saying that when we look at this transfer season, the 2 biggest things that we need to get is we need to get a star left winger, and we need to, if we're going to move Skelly to the bench, my personal opinion, I think Skelly deserves a start walking into next season, unless we're going to go break the bank and go get a top midfielder that has the same dribbling quality and style that Skelly's going to have, to where he's good enough defensively. 'Cause let's be honest here. Skelly did very well against that PSG midfield. We all rate PSG's midfield. He was able to dribble into the spaces. He was able to get physical with João Neves and Vitinha. He held his own for a young buck, which is why I would like to see him, part of the reason why I've made the argument I don't want him sold in the summer. And I think the last 5 games, Skelly for me was the biggest thing that changed the way we played football going into the last 5 games, where we scored more goals. Trossard and Saka looked much better going forward because they're not having to carry the ball an extra 30 yards now that Skelly's doing the work. So for me, I think that alone helps Saka and whoever's going to be the left winger next year for us to have a more potent offense going forward. The main question, as you said, Manny, is the health thing with Saka. That's the only thing for me that I can question. But again, this goes back to now, we need to offload everybody that we can in the forward line and regroup. Because if we're going to have Saka going forward, at least to try to have him going forward for the foreseeable future, outside of proper investment in the forward line, the manager needs to learn rotation. Because, I'm sorry, it looked like everybody was praying for penalties by the 70th minute in the game. Once after the penalty went in for PSG, we had no concept whatsoever of going forward. Yes, there was a couple times where the ball got into the box. Gyökeres tried making a run in to get on top of it when he came in, blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest, man. There's no difference to that. This is why I brought up Simeone ball. There's no difference to that. We basically played a 4-4-2 in the defense. Odegaard was lined up with Havertz the whole game up top for the press. It worked. And it worked. And I'm not trying to shit on the way we played defense, but that inability to go forward, I think, was a problem, which is why I wanted Eze to start the game, because Eze could have done the exact same thing that Odegaard did on the press, but would have been much better with the ball at his feet. Now, yes, Eze missed the penalty. I partially think Eze wasn't in the game long enough for him to get his footing into the game. And I would make the same argument when you look at, I forgot who said it, but it is very true. This game mirrored the England versus Italy final in the Euros. England scored that goal in 2 minutes and had no care of going forward whatsoever. And once Italy grew into the game more, it was all Italy. England was hoping to get to penalties by the 35th minute when Italy controlled the game. There was nothing different as soon as Dembele put the penalty in the box, put the goal in when he got the penalty. So for me, we need to have an understanding that, yes, while Odegaard did have a decent game defensively, I'm sorry, the guy's not it. It's time to move on. Odegaard needs to be moved on. And like I said, barring Saka and Gyökeres, for me, the entire front line should go. Nwaneri, I want to keep. Now, just really quickly on Nwaneri, if we're going to sell him, do not sell him to a Premier League rival. Because the strong rumors coming out is that the favorite to land Nwaneri is Aston Villa. And I'm not trying to see that kid go to Aston Villa to see them get any stronger. So for me, you have to overhaul the entire forward line. Play a little, and like I said, I think with Skelly, I think we'll have a more fluid offense for a full season. Or if you get somebody of that ilk that's going to play that brand of football in the middle, I think we have a more potent offense to where we could possibly return to the Champions League final again next year and maybe win it. So for me, that's all I want to say as far as all that. The only other thing that we got to say is we got to hope that none of our boys get injured in the World Cup, because if they do, it's going to be a long problem when it comes to that.
Well, already Saliba
sounds like he's dropping out of the World Cup. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But I just want to come to this question here. It's open to the panel. Who do you want Arsenal to sign this summer? Because you mentioned you don't want Ethan to go, but there may be a point where Arsenal might have an offer what they can't refuse.
Well, if the rumors are true that we're going to have the same amount of money as we spent last season, Skelly has no room to go and just offload all the dumb shit contracts that we have. Again, I'm sorry.
Who would you see go then? Who? Okay, let's do it in and out then. Yeah. So who would you like to see go?
Jesus, yeah. Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard.
Yeah.
If there's a world where we could get, if we have the same amount of money, I take the loss and get rid of Madueke either way. And then after that, the next question is either Zubamendi or Ricardo Calafiori. Those are the only two guys left on the list. Now, here's the other problem. Hincapié is not a complete purchase. He's a loan, and Barcelona's trying to move on him. So he's the first purchase that we got to get over the line walking into next season.
But don't we have an obligation, though, to buy him from
No, it's option to buy. Barcelona, it's only an option to buy. It's not obligation. Barcelona's in for him for 60 million with Leverkusen.
We've got to make that deal happen, haven't we?
He's the first purchase that needs to be done, in my opinion. But right afterwards, for me, move like a big team and weaken your opponents. For me, Morgan Rogers is the next purchase. Unless there's a world where Vara is going to come and we're going to dump that amount of money, which I personally don't think is going to happen, you go get Morgan Rogers. Go get Morgan Rogers for that left-hand side.
There's a problem there, though, my friend, and I'm going to tell you right now. Obviously, the thing with Morgan Rogers, and that because we're not the only club that's in for him. PSG had mentioned they want to come in for him. Certainly, a couple of other big Premier League clubs. I'm playing fast and loose with the word "big" here. Are also coming in for him. Now, currently, a lot of people are basically saying that he may be valued at 80 million quid. But the problem with that is that Aston Villa know that they do have a sell-on clause. Basically, they have to pay a fee to Middlesbrough, which will be about 20% of what they would receive for him. So there is no way in hell that Unai Emery will want to let him go for anywhere less than 100 million or even 110 million if they have to pay that much money. Now, he's not being what they are. They're now a selling club. It's like every year someone has to, be told, thank you so much for your contribution, but we've got to save our club and save our skins because of our wage to revenue turnover. If it isn't Jack Grealish, it's Jacob Ramsey, and now it could very well be Morgan Rogers. There is talk of maybe Emi Martinez going to Liverpool. I don't think that'll happen. And the sad part is that they just won a European trophy. They got back into the Champions League. They got more money, but they're still having to sell. And so coming to Arsenal, what you were saying there, Johnny, if you made it crystal clear that you don't want to see Aston Villa strengthened, don't think that Unai Emery is a fool. He may not have the best command of the English language, but he's not going to want to sell his prized asset to a club and a manager who will not know how to manage or get the best out of him, and will end up running him into the ground even more than he's run Saka. So he'll definitely up the price tag. And if PSG decide that they would like to take him on, they're going to literally offer a blank check. So the best thing that we could do is to maybe have a proposition where, you know, we pay them 80 million quid or thereabouts, but we offer them one of our players. Maybe we could give them Ebery Eze, maybe we could give them Waneri. In return, we get Morgan Rogers, and that will be done. But then I just don't see Emery wanting to do any business with us. And we've had some attempts to try to get some Villa players in the past few years. It hasn't really done well. And knowing Emery the way he is, he will not hesitate to try to muck us over. Believe you me.
I hear all that, but here's the reality of the situation. Emery can cry, bitch, and moan about everything. He doesn't have the finances. And in this day and age, that's what all that matters. So I hear it and I respect it. The problem is this. Whether Villa won the Europa League and got Champions League and got extra money, they still reported over 130 million loss. So the money has to come back somewhere. So again, this is why I say this is where you now step into the realm of a big team, where you need to start thinking like a big team, where you...
They're not rivals, are they? Villa aren't rivals, are they?
Villa aren't rivals, but Villa's been our bogey team for the entire time that he's been there. We've never had a season where we've picked up maximum points. Wow. So for me, listen, if it was up to me, if all these reports are true that we have the same amount of money to spend this year that we had last year. Remember, Berta freed up nearly $250 million to spend for Arteta last year. If we're getting the same amount of money this year, both of the positions that I want to be fixed, you can go at Aston Villa, or at least try, and weaken another opposing team in the Premier League so you could potentially have an easier season. If it was up to me, now, Morgan Rogers is my number one choice at left wing because I just don't see VAR leaving PSG after back-to-back Champions League titles. I just don't see a world where that's happening. So he would be my left wing option. In the middle, if it's not Sandro Tonali, I would be going to Aston Villa again and questioning what the price tag is for Yuri Tielemans, because Tielemans
is staying.
He's cheap. He'd be cheap.
Tielemans won't be cheap. They'll ask for a lot of money because he was a free transfer. And really, if they sold Tielemans, he would be the biggest one to make the most amount of money off of because they signed him for free. They didn't pay for him at all. He went there as a free agent.
27?
He's 28.
Good player, though. Very good player.
But I'm picturing... Huh?
Can we not get better than Tielemans, though? They must be better, though.
Listen, in my opinion, I don't think there's that many midfielders in the Premier League that's better than Tielemans, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think Tielemans has put in a solid body of work for good clubs, good solid clubs, but I think Tielemans, again, the thing is this, whether anybody wants to be sold or not, it's down to the player. If the player wants out of a situation, they're going to force their way out, whether they like it or not, especially because you have to look at it from the flip side. Who the hell wants to build a project with people that don't want to be there? As from my understanding with the Rodgers situation, is Rodgers has a gentleman's agreement with Villa that he will leave if a sustainable offer comes in. So if that's the case, you go put the money down on Rodgers and say, we may come back for Tielemans if he's available. If Tielemans isn't available, then go ahead with plan A and just make sure the dumbass ain't gambling and go get Tonali. And for me, I think your business is pretty much done outside of completing the transfer of Hincapié. Now, after that, we need to start picking out players who are willing to go into rotation at these wing positions, because as I said, I don't want nothing. Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz have no business being at this club, especially at the fact that there's no guarantee they're going to stay healthy. And when you look at the total math, they're not worth it because they're over £500,000 a week in salary. It makes absolutely no sense to hold on to this dead weight. Did Havertz score? You could say the Premier League winning goal. Yes, cool, he did. But I'm not paying somebody £280,000 to put 2 goals in the entire fucking season. I'm sorry, I'm just not. It's a lost cause at that point. I'd rather take a chance on, like, if we're going to keep Gyökeres, I'd rather take a chance and tempt Igor Thiago away from Brentford and have a rotation of strikers like that, rather than somebody who's getting astronomical wages like Havertz is. And again, go get some better options. And whatever we do, I better not see no fucking Chelsea players coming to this club again, or else I'm going to have a fucking fit, because there's nothing on that. There is nothing on that Chelsea roster that excites me that could come to Arsenal, even their starters. I'm not taking a chance on Cole Palmer at this
No.
point. The guy's been out of form for 18 months. Enzo Fernandez is linked with everywhere. He hasn't shown anything good. The only two guys, if they were worth anything at Chelsea, is Caicedo and Reece James, and Reece James is always hurt. And we already have what we need in the defensive midfield with Declan Rice. So for me, it's finding a proper number 8 and finding a left winger and permanently buying Hincapié. And then from there, it's finding guys that are suitable to play the bench roles at the wing position. Now, this is why Ethan Nwaneri should not be sold, because Nwaneri should easily be the second string right winger for Saka for me over Madueke. And because he can play multiple positions. Yes.
What about Krupi? What about Krupi then? Would you take a?
I'm not paying 100 million for Krupi to be a backup.
100 mil? He's not going to be 100 mil. 60, 70?
They're saying that they want at least 70 million for Krupi. I'm not paying.
Bidding wars going on. I think.
Yeah, and because of how young the kid is.
Have you noticed that all of the same top clubs are looking at the same players at the moment?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
Exactly.
And here they brought. I forgot who put it in. Ricardo Calafiori has also made mention again. I don't know if you guys caught this. He's also made mention again. This is the second time he's made mention that he has unfinished business at Rome. If you got unfinished business at Rome, get the fuck out of the club.
Is that what he said?
Yes. He said it. He has said it now twice across the span of 2 months. It's time for him to go. It's time for him to go.
And if that's the case, Johnny, then you're going to also have to consider a backup left back to the list, because
exactly.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing which I really like about the left back situation, because the right back situation, I'd get rid of Ben White ASAP. The man completely is, broken down, injured beyond repair. He's not going to play for England in the World Cup. Thank God. Never should have been recalled by Tuchel. And I just think that the bloke's done his dash. But Timber will definitely need some competition. And if I never see Christian Mosquera or even Declan Rice playing at right back again, it will be too soon. So we need a backup right back.
I'd go get that kid Coyote. That young kid Coyote from Brentford had a fantastic.
We're looking at a right back. What's it? Lukeba? What's his name?
Lukeba from dude, he's coming from RB Leipzig. I do not trust that club's players. I'm sorry, man. There's been dude, they've put out so many duds over the last few years. When they leave the Bundesliga, it's not worth it. Go get somebody who we've seen in the Premier League. Again, Coyote was on loan at Brentford from Fiorentina. He's going to be low cost.
Is he still on loan? Or is he gone back?
He's going. It's not a mandatory purchase, from what my understanding is. So he goes back to Fiorentina after the summer. Yeah, exactly. Anybody at RB Leipzig is not trustworthy. Look at what happened with that guy Openda, the striker at Juventus. He cost Juventus 30 million. He scored 1 goal in 24 games. I'm sorry, man. That RB Leipzig club is freaking suspect as shit when it comes to their players. I'm not looking at that club no more for any type of players.
And yet the Leipzig manager is now going over to manage Bournemouth while Iriola's going to Liverpool. Go figure. Yeah. But then that's the thing.
That was real quick, Manny. That was going to be my other point. These transfers have to get done early, because now you have to see what's going on. I said this, Waffle, you and me talked about this with Cape the last time the three of us were on there. I said, the team that for me is going to give us the biggest problem next year is Liverpool if Slot gets sacked before the start of the season. Iraola's style of football goes back similar to Klopp. It's not full-blown rock and roll football, but I think you're going to see a lifted, spirited team to where they're actually going to want to play for the manager now, rather than the bullshit of what we've been seeing unfold at Liverpool. So for me, you have to get your business done early so we know what we're walking into next season. I do not want any situation where we're leaving it until transfer deadline day to get moves over that's going to help us keep forward with the club. Because again, and listen, Iraola is a decent manager. We saw it with his own player from Kirkes. Going from Bournemouth to Liverpool is a tall task. It is a completely different situation. However, right now we're walking into next season as the favorites, and we need to move like that. I don't want to see us taking our foot off the gas and saying, oh, we won. We're going to just relish this whole summer, and it is what it is. No, this is where it separates the men from the boys as far as the big clubs. Go get your business done as fast as possible. Know what you're walking into next season and pedal to the metal. Let's go win this Premier League again and try to break the streak of being the fourth team to go back to back. Because other than that, I'm not trying to see any more what ifs and trying to be cheap or anything else with that shit. I'm just not trying to see it.
I agree completely.
Who's your ideal signings then? Like, as we're moving as a big club now, we've gone to a Champions League final. We've won the league now. Yeah, we should be Arsenal. We should have pulling power now. Yeah. Who are you holding now? Who's the first player you're holding now? Is it Morgan Rogers?
It's Rogers. Hincapié should be done like tomorrow. We should be getting the news that Hincapié is a permanent signing tomorrow. But the next signing is Rogers for me.
What about you, Manny? Who's your?
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, I would like Rodgers, but the biggest fear I have is that, you know, Arteta's going to absolutely ruin him. And I will stand by what I say when I say that Emery will, you know, keep holding out for the highest bidder. And if PSG offer him a blank check, then, you know, we can kiss that dream goodbye. And we've all seen how Rodgers plays. And that guy is literally, you know, an absolute dream.
My question, but here's my quick question to you about that. I hear you, and I definitely agree with you that PSG can offer a blank check, but here's the problem. He doesn't start. That's the pulling power that Arsenal has. Rodgers walks into the left wing position at Arsenal. He's not starting over any of the three there, and I'm sorry. They're not going to break that midfield up that just went back to back. That whole midfield is young.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, obviously, you know, Rodgers will relish the challenge, and there are going to be some opportunities for him to come in. I mean, look at what happened with the goalkeeping position with PSG after they chucked out Donnarumma. I mean, Chevalier was supposed to be the, you know, French local boy who starred at Lille and came good at PSG. He completely crapped the bed, and then that Russian chap Safanov came in. So there's no predicting really what can happen. And so that's the thing about PSG. Yes, they've gone back to back. But they're also the type of club, mind you, that are not going to rest on their laurels. They are going to continue to refresh their team. They're going to try to, you know, see if they can improve it in any way. And that's the thing about a successful team. Even with us, you know, if we do end up signing Morgan Rogers and Odegaard's out of the door, what's going to happen to Ebery Eze? I mean, what's going to happen to his future at Arsenal? Because let's not forget, number 10. No, but here's the thing. Rogers also is pretty much the nailed-on favourite to start for England in the number 10 position ahead of Jude Bellingham. Because Bellingham has literally had a pretty, stop-start season at Real Madrid. It's been schizophrenic, for want of a more technical word. And, you know, whenever Rodgers has played for England under Tuchel, he's shone brilliantly. And with the confidence of that Europa League win and securing a top 4 position, because both City and Liverpool crapped the bed, it has to be said, near the end. I mean, why would you want to ignore that? So it isn't just Arsenal who are going to want Morgan Rodgers. Other clubs are going to want him, and they will try to include him in. But then where are we going to fit him in? And then what's going to happen to Ebery Eze? It's not even nailed on that Rodgers will walk right in. But leaving Rodgers alone, I'm just going to talk about some other things. You spoke as well about Ricardo Calafiori. Now, one of the things which I like to see in my fullbacks is that when you have 2 fullbacks for every position, they're both contrasting. With Hincapié, you have someone who's a little bit more defensive, who can definitely, hold up an end, but who also has the ability to go forward and overlap down the left and put in a really good cross. And, you know, it's a sort of a deceptively dangerous cross, which is sort of hooked with his left foot, which sort of goes along the ground, but it really puts defenders out of position. And, you know, it can create some opportunities. I wouldn't necessarily compare him to Kieran Tierney, but, you know, it's almost thereabouts. And with Calafiori, you have someone who doesn't necessarily overlap, but who sort of cuts into the middle. It's a little bit like what Aston Villa had with Luca Digne and Ian Maatsen, although even at times they can also be a bit schizophrenic with their form. But Digne has had a strong end to the season. But then if Calafiori goes, then we're also going to need to buy another left back. Because I'm going to say this right now, and I hope that both of you will agree with me. If I never see Mars Lewis Skelly playing at left back again, it will be too soon. He belongs in the center of the midfield. It could very well mean that, you know, Martin Zubamendi might have to take a loan move away because, you know, with Skelly and Rice now in that midfield, I definitely don't see much happening. And this comment is here. Morgan Rodgers' career at Arsenal will go how Eze has gone this season, being moved between the left wing and the centre attacking midfielder because no one is sure which is best spot, and then being dropped for time. So why would you want to have that situation again by buying Morgan Rodgers? But again, forget Morgan Rodgers. We're going to need to have a backup left back as well. And I'm not too sure if we can actually find anyone who would be, you know, that good. Could we maybe try to prize Nuno Mendes? No, forget that. If Kvaratskhelia is not
I got
Mendes
one.
Won't come either. Go ahead.
I got one for a team that's struggling for money. Go get DeMarco from Inter.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
If you want an extra play creator and goal scorer, let's all remember DeMarco just won Player of the Year in Italy. He got 23
Yes.
goal contributions as a left back. Got 6 goals and 17 assists. If we want somebody that is the same similar profile,
Sorry, did you say 17 assists?
17 assists. If you want a better here, Federico DeMarco, like Calafiori, aren't the best defensively as a left back, but they can do a job. But if we're talking about the fact that we need a more potent offense, let's all remember something here. Arsenal scored the least amount of goals since Leicester that's won a Premier League title in the last 10 years. Us and Leicester are the 2 lowest scoring teams in the Premier League that have won. You get a guy like Federico DeMarco. First of all, his crossing ability, I just him alone, 5 more goals for Gyökeres with the way that he can pick a pass.
Yeah,
because that's going to be the most important thing going forward is getting Gyökeres scoring goals at a much earlier rate than what it was this season, right? So for me, I agree with you, you get 2 different styles of left backs. You get one like Hincapié, where if you know you need to go into a game playing defensive, Hincapié is your guy. If you know you're going to have more offensive control in that game, then I would put DeMarco as the left back. This was going to be actually the next guy that I was going to say behind Rodgers. I like this kid Njai from Everton. I think he's a very complex winger. He's very good with the ball at his feet. He's fast. He can play both sides of the wing too. If we ever need to move, if Saka needs to get a break and we want to keep him on the pitch and we have somebody else at the left wing. I like Njai. I'll be honest with you. There's a kid at Villarreal, Alberto Molero, who's a very skilled left winger as well, that I like him. There's me personally, I think we should be looking at Galatasaray right now because that Badish Yilmaz and Yunus Akgün are ballers. Waffle, I know you know them because you were a Galatasaray fan.
Whoa.
Badish Yilmaz to me and Yunus Akgün, Galatasaray is not asking for big money for these guys. Akgün's already linked with Napoli, but they're only talking about selling him for 25 million euros. If you're telling me you're getting that skilled of a player for 25 mil and Badish is maybe going to be 40 million, I'd go get the both of them if I'm being quite honest with you. There's plenty of options. There's plenty of options to look. The only reason why I'm saying Rodgers is this. Rodgers, as you said, man, he could play both the number 10 and the left wing. For me, what I want to see is, again, look at how PSG played us in the final. Vara ended up on the right. Dembele ended up on the left. Doué ended up in the middle. And same vice versa for all 3. If we're going to have a better offense flow next year, for me, Eze, Saka, and Morgan Rodgers should be able to be interchangeable and free-flowing in the offensive game. And I think it suits all 3 of their games to be able to do that. The other thing is this. As much as I like Njai and the guys that I said, Rodgers is Premier League proven. This kid is a freaking monster. Yes, Villa had a tough period where he was carrying the load being moved into the number 10 position, but at full strength, he looks so good on the left wing, being able to dribble and take players on. Everybody talks about Arsenal's difficulty of not being able to break down a low block. Rodgers changes the whole game with that if you get him in there. He's the one that can break down a low block and take another defender with him to where we can open the team up. That's the only reason why I'm beating the door down with Rodgers. Plus, we're also at the point to where we can't be taking chances on players as well.
What about Leo? What about Leo?
No.
Did you just see what happened with AC Milan?
What happened?
AC Milan went from 2nd place to 5th in a matter of 10 games. Leao didn't even score 12 goals for AC Milan this year in the league, and they played once a week. The guy's finished, bro. I'm sorry. He's not the guy that everybody thinks he is. I hear what you're saying on lack of consistency, but here's the thing. If he comes to Arsenal, he's not the guy. He's in a group. He's in a cohesive unit. At Aston Villa, he is the guy. The pressure falls on him. When you come to Arsenal and you have complementary stars around you, you're able to have a little bit more freedom than when the sole purpose of scoring goals is on you. Again,
he scored
Watkins didn't have
in all comps this season.
Yeah.
He scored
And I would also argue, having seen Aston Villa play as well, that in addition to Rodgers, you've also got to look at the likes of Emi Buendia, who was supposed to be sold by Aston Villa, and we
Arsenal
him at one.
Arsenal
exactly.
too.
And I'll tell you, I'm going to say this right now: Emi Buendia is a rich man's Martin Odegaard, and it is a crime that Lionel Scaloni has not picked him for the Albi Celeste. He's gone for the tried and tested. We all know what happens when you pick more or less the same squad 4 years apart. Good luck to them with that. Messi won't be a starter. There's no Paulo Dybala, who I think is a game changer, but sadly I think his best days are now gone. But anyway,
he's too old.
And the thing about it is that Rodgers wasn't necessarily the main guy. You had that three-man attacking pivot of Rodgers, Buendia, and also John McGinn, coming in. Let's also not forget that apart from Aston Villa's first 11, their bench wasn't exactly the best. I mean, Jadon Sancho and Leon Bailey, I mean, those guys have got to go. And, if they were to sell Rodgers for a big fee, they will want a big fee so that they can refresh their squad. Maybe, just maybe, sensationally bring Marcus Rashford back to work some magic with them like he did in 24-25 when he was on loan with them. I don't think he scored very much, but he was literally, a battering ram for the attack. If they could maybe try to end Marco Asensio's nightmare in Fenerbahce and bring him back to Villa, that would make him happy. So Villa have options. But anyway, leave Villa alone. I think we can basically agree that, we will need to strengthen in the fullback positions. As you mentioned, DeMarco at left back, maybe Coyote, 2 Italians. I like that. I was surprised you didn't talk about Palestra because I was very impressed with him during the playoffs.
I like Palestra, but exactly what you said. I like 2 different fullbacks on my team. If one fullback's going to go forward, I want the other fullback to be better defensively in order to cover properly so that you can have that fluidity of the team. The person I was going to throw in there as well for left back, that Truffert at Bournemouth really impressed me this season, the French kid.
Truffert.
We actually went through it on shout out to Sammy on the football rig. We went through it in talks. Truffert, I forgot who he was using to compare. I think it was Calafiori. Truffert is better than Calafiori defensively across the board. When you were looking at stats as far as
anyone's better than Calafiori, brother.
I know.
I mean, Truffert is the classic Kieran Tierney style left back. Let's agree.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying Truffert would be somebody I would look at as well to be a replacement left back. If we're not, the only reason why I throw DeMarco out there is, again, like I said, the guy just put up a season where a left back came up with over 20 goal contributions, and that's just in the league. That's not including the Champions League as well. It's nearly 30 goal contributions a left back had. For me, for a team that has struggled with scoring goals, I think if you add a game changer like that adds more fluidity, I think DeMarco could be a very good signing for us. Again, it's how much money are we going to have to burn? For me, that's why I said the dead wood has to go this summer to free up the maximum amount of money to build this team and keep going forward. Because again, the biggest thing that I stress is I do not want us to allow the gap that we have somewhat built over the other team with this win being shortened again because of our lack of identity going forward as a big club. We need to be buying the best in class.
Do we need another number 9?
I think so. I think we need to get rid of Havertz and have a replacement for Gyökeres.
Definitely.
Listen, people are going to say it's controversial because of everything that happened. I really could give 2 shits. For me, and also he could play a wing position as well. I don't know how good he would be on the left-hand side. But for me, you guys may disagree. I would strongly look at Mason Greenwood. I would strongly look at Mason Greenwood to be either the rotationary striker with Gyökeres or potentially even being able to play as the left winger if we can't look at Rodgers. And somebody else who I would look at Marseille is that Algerian kid, Amin Gouiri, because he's a baller as well. So I would be looking at all these different options if I'm being quite honest with you. Just not Marcus Rashford. I don't want to see that bullshit happen. I don't want to see Rashford being...
He wouldn't come to Arsenal even if you paid him. And by the way, he loves Unai Emery so much more. Unai Emery, he turns water into wine. Second coming of Jesus. But and here's another question. We've got MLS and we've got Rice in that double defensive midfield pivot. Works a treat. Is there a role for Martin Zubimendi?
Yeah, the backup for Rice. Let's be. Are you really going to trust a 32 turning 33-year-old Norgard who had no minutes last year?
He's out of it. He's out of it.
That's why I'm saying Zubimendi for me. I can't see him playing that 8 position. We're too dull.
No.
We're too dull. It's too much. It's too many sideways passing with him when he's in there. Again, that's why I said for me, you need to take a consideration. I wouldn't be opposed to selling Zubimendi if I'm being quite honest with you. You got your extra prize money. You got first place in the Premier League. You got you won the Premier League, and you're getting more money for that. If somebody from Spain, if Real Madrid or a Barcelona come and say we got 50 million euros or 55 million euros, I'm taking the hit for the year and getting rid of him. Because again, for me, if he's not cool with staying as a backup for Rice, I don't really see where else you put the guy. In my personal position, he helped us get over the line, and I'll thank him for it. But again, I don't really see where he fits as far as that. You know, Zubamendi to me fits more of a system where if it's like an old school 4-2-3-1 that you saw Jose Mourinho play, where the two defensive midfielders really just sat in front of the back line and really didn't do anything as far as pushing forward like that. And you have just a crazy front four that's going to attack. If we don't have that, I just really don't see where Zubamendi fits into this team anymore. I think we phased out of him already within his first year here.
Yeah, I think.
Because the other thing is, too, like you said, with this World Cup, we don't know what condition Rice is going to be coming back. Let's all be honest here. Rice has been limping to take corners since February. He's been holding his back since April. The guy has been a walking machine as far as putting in minutes, but he's going to need some rotation. So the thing is, at the end of the day, I would trust Zubamendi for some of the weaker teams. But again, this is why you need to go out and get the best in class. You're going to need a backup 8 for Skelly, in my opinion, because I think Skelly earned that spot, unless you're going to go with the Rice, Odegaard, and Eze midfield next year and try Odegaard in the 8, which I would be a little bit more wondering to see how that works. But if that's not going to happen, Zubamendi's the one that's got to go, in my opinion. After what he's done in these last 5 games and the performance in the Champions League final and in other games, I don't think Lewis Skelly should be sold.
I think Zubi's probably homesick. I think, you know, some people just don't settle in London, man. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
and if that's the case, get rid of his ass. Don't let him stay here. You know what I mean? If again, this is what big clubs do. If you're going to cut your loss, let's even say Atletico Madrid, because Atletico Madrid's linked to Reinders already. If Atletico Madrid really needs a midfielder, go out and be like, hey, we'll give you a Spanish international.
We've got Marino as well still. Remember, we've got Marino.
He's another one that's got to go.
We've got so many of these players. Martinelli as well. I think PSG and Bayern Munich are interested as well. I think we can get some good money for him as well. So there's options, man. It'd be interesting to see what players like go this season and the players that we bring in. But as you said, we have to act early. We have to do this early, our business early, because the World Cup's just around the corner. You don't want players being distracted when they're at the World Cup. There's not going to be hardly any access.
Not only that, but here's the other thing. Whatever winger you want, you have to go fast, because let's all remember something. Who is going to be the one tasked to take over for Mohamed Salah at Liverpool? They have to replace Salah, so they're going to be on the radar for all big-name wingers as well.
Can they go for Greenwood?
I don't think Greenwood will go to Liverpool and backstab United. I don't think that happens, which is why I think it would be more likely he came to us than him going to Liverpool.
Elise's not going to Liverpool. Elise's not going to Liverpool. Elise? Maybe what money?
He could. He could.
Maybe there could be a chance that if Barcelona needs some cash, a Premiership club might try to bring a certain Rafinha back to the Premiership.
True. Or Olmo. Because I've heard Olmo's possibly on the market now that Fermin Lopez has risen to the top over there, that number 10 position.
He's a baller, man. He's a baller. I love Fermin Lopez, man.
Hey, Olmo's a baller too. The only issue with him has been health. That's really only been his issue, because Olmo's a baller. And you know what? I'm going to put this out there. You guys may disagree. If he gets put up for sale by Liverpool, I would strongly urge to look at Szoboszlai.
For us?
Yes.
He's not going to do that. He's not going to be put up for sale. I think Alonso will probably look at him and say that, you know, he would be, you know, the ideal. He's obviously been used as a utility man by Slot, being asked to fill in at right back, when frankly Joe Gomez should have been played there all the time instead of wasting time with Curtis Jones and Frimpong and Szoboszlai putting midfielders over there. But I think Szoboszlai will now pretty much be expected to become the future of Liverpool. And he has literally been their most consistent player this season.
He was their best player last year, yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. So if anyone comes into Szoboszlai, Alonso, if he has any sense, will say, not Alonso, Iriola, if he has any sense, will say, over my dead body. I'm not letting him go because Szoboszlai is going to be sent to my plans.
What about Gooner?
Arda Güler. I love that.
Yeah, I would love that. But
I'll be honest with you. One of the teams that I'm going to be closely watching for this World Cup is Turkey, because Turkey has a boatload of freaking ballers in the forward positions. Even what's his name at Fenerbahce, Karim Aktürkoğlu was a baller. Even if he came in as a backup, and he can also play. For those that like to have Arteta's false nine, he's played false nine for Fenerbahce the whole season this year because En-Nesyri can't hit a barn door. So listen, there's plenty of players to look at. The only thing that I want proven players. I don't want a James Rodriguez where he did an amazing at a World Cup, or Enzo Fernandez pay a boatload of cash and they don't really show. You know what I mean? And I digress on James, because James's first 2 years at Real Madrid, he was class after that World Cup. It was just everything after that with the fallout of Ancelotti, and then Zidane is what took it away from him. But besides all that, for me, I want guys that are proven. That's why I said Yilmaz, Akgün, Aktürkoğlu. You know, Yilmaz and Akgün have been a part of 3 straight Turkish Super Leagues for Galatasaray. So they know what it takes to get through a full season and win. Yes, it's in Turkey, but who cares? You still won. So you have that mentality and you're coming to another winning team. That's the way that I'm looking at things. I want proven players that are coming in. We are not the club anymore of having to take risks on guys that we don't know about. We need to go get the top players.
I agree. And Enzo Fernandez is a person who I wouldn't touch with a barge pole. Yes, he's got some talent, but the man's a racist and a bad egg. Screw them.
Yeah, facts.
And Chelsea, no more Chelsea rejects. Isn't that right, Jenny?
Facts. I don't want nothing from Chelsea.
What about Real Madrid's, what's his name?
Endrick
and the other one. What's the other one? Vinicius. Would you take him on the left?
I'm not taking Vinny.
No.
I'm not taking Vinny. I'm sorry. Vinny. If we were having this conversation 2 years ago, I said spend all the money you got and get Vinny. I think.
What's the other guy? The Brazilian guy.
Who?
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo. He tore his ACL.
Oh yeah.
He tore his ACL. Listen, if this was the conversation right after they did their second double, I would say yes. My problem with Vinny is I think Vinny's stardom went to his head, because in the last 2 years he's nowhere near the same player. I don't want Vinicius Jr. coming to Arsenal and making a show. As far as every time, if you look at the way Vinny's played over the last few years at Real Madrid, he gets touched by a pinky, he looks like he got shot by a 50 caliber sniper. He's throwing himself to the ground, looking for every single call. He doesn't get it. He turns himself into a show. We don't need that stuff. I think he would cause a problem in the locker room, in my personal opinion. The one thing that I will give Mikel is that this is a very tight-knit locker room that they have, and you can't be bringing somebody in that's possibly going to tip that over. So for me, Vinny, Leao, those types of guys, I'm leaving off of my interest list as far as that. That's just my personal opinion. I think there's plenty here. The one kid, he may be Moroccan, Izuli from Real Betis. He's a very good winger as well that can be looked at, and he's young. But again, and like I said, there's Njai. I would even give an opportunity to Krupi.
Well, Yildiz as well. Krupe as well.
Yeah, even Yildiz. Juventus isn't going to be able to hold on to Yildiz. The only hesitancy that I have about Yildiz is that in the final days, to make sure that Juventus stayed in Champions League, Yildiz didn't show up. So when the pressure was on, Yildiz didn't show up, and I'm sorry, I'm not paying $100 million for that. No. I'd rather pay money.
Paying these days now for players now, $100 million. Is that the standard?
That's what Juventus is going to want, because they didn't make Champions League, because they're going to have financial problems.
Yeah, flipping smoking crack.
That's exactly. So that's the reason why I'm looking at specific areas for that.
Juventus and their finances. I think you did mention in the stream, Gianni, on your channel that, you know, if we're not careful, we could end up making the same mistakes that Juve are making. I think the one thing that's saving us, of course, is, you know, we're literally bringing in the dosh, as we would say in the UK, or the moolah, as you might say, the other side of the Atlantic. But then, you know, we're spending recklessly. And we're also, whether it's transfer fees or wages, we will also have to pay a huge bill to HMRC, which is His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. So again, surely, I'm sure you boys will agree, we might have to also consider being a little bit more prudent in our spending. And that's why we have to sell before we can buy. But the question is, how much can we look to get for some of those players we want to offload? And we might also have to bite the bullet and offload someone we may not necessarily want to sell, but we might have to make sure that we got some air to breathe, I suppose.
But one thing we can't do is go into the season, selling loads of players and just being short of our squad. Because
correct.
I agree.
Correct.
But you sell, but then buy afterwards. You can't leave yourself short. I agree, Dom. I agree.
But I want to wrap it up, but I just want to ask you guys quickly, expectations for next season. What are you expecting from Arsenal next season in terms of trophies, in terms of everything?
Everything. I use this reference all the time. Everybody's heard. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. We need to move into the mentality like it used to be with Inter. They sacked Mancini. He won 7 trophies in 4 years, and it still wasn't good enough because he didn't win the Champions League. That's the mentality that we need to have if we're going to move forward as a big club. You need to have the same ruthless standards. Again, only 3 teams in the Premier League era have gone back-to-back. So it's not easy to win back-to-back in the Premier League. Only 3. Man City did it twice because they did it 4 in a row. They had Manchester United and Jose Mourinho's Chelsea. That's it. Nobody's been able to go back-to-back besides those teams. So if Arteta doesn't win the league next year, I'm not going to kill him. But I expect you to do the same thing that City did and do a domestic double and still finish within the top 3 to show that we are still in and around there. And then we just go again and go after the league again next year. So again, there's leeway here. But I'm expecting at least 2 trophies again. I said that, and Manny was on a few of my call-in shows. Waffle, you've jumped on. I said walking into that League Cup final, the demand was at least 2 trophies. So if it was the League Cup final and the title was the 2 that I wanted, we've only walked away with 1 trophy this year. He got us over the hump. I didn't expect us to get to the Champions League final. I'll be completely honest with you. I did not expect us to get there. So that he earns a little bit more respect for me on top of winning the title. For me, expectation is at least top 2 next year and 2 trophies. I don't care if you go League Cup final and if you do the domestic cup final, if you do the domestic cup double, you finish second and we get quarterfinal Champions League semifinal appearance or even final again. That's my expectation going from now on.
Cups every year.
Trophies have to, brother. If City win 2 trophies next year, they pass us. If Enzo Maresca walks in next year, he doesn't have to win the league title. But if he walks in and does a back-to-back domestic cup double, they have more trophies than us if we walk away with nothing next year. So there is zero room for error right now. And the same thing can be said with Alonso. I think Chelsea's now only 4 trophies behind us.
Really?
They're only 4. Yes. Chelsea and Manchester City have bridged the gap of what it used to be the huge.
So we need to get a move on. We need to get a move on again.
That's why I'm saying if we're going to be a big club, move like how the big clubs do. You have to demand trophies. Again, I use that saying all the time. Imagine you have a manager that delivers you 7 trophies in 4 years and it's still not good enough because you didn't get to the one that you want. That is where we need to move as a big club.
Money.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd sort of echo everything what Gianni has said, and I would also hope for at least 2 trophies next season. I think we're also going to have to be a little bit realistic and see, whether or not we can actually retain the league this season. And I think it's sort of keeping that in mind that Gianni has said that if we can, get into the top 2 and at least be there, then that would be okay. Because let's face it, we fluked this league this year. We have to be honest and accept that. We played some horrible football. We had a lot of assistance from VAR, got a lot of calls in our favor, which we didn't deserve to. And frankly, there was a point near the end of the season where we were all thinking that after that loss to City at the Etihad that it will all be over. But then City completely, crapped the bed. We didn't expect them to. And how far they had, turned rotten and deteriorated was proved when Aston Villa, of all people, beat them at the Etihad. And they were playing a literal reserve team in that game because quite a few of the World Cuppers were rested, including Emi Martinez, who dislocated his finger in the warm-up for the Europa League final and still played and kept a clean sheet. The man's an absolute machine, and we never should have sold him. And if he were in goal in the penalty shootout, we'd have won. David Raya is useless at penalties. But anyway, I would like to see us, I would like a domestic cup double. Because, how we just let these two domestic cups slip from our grasp despite having favorable draws all the way through.
Especially the FA Cup.
Oh yeah, unforgivable.
FA Cup, we got a dream draw of all the teams that we had, and we screwed that one up. So that's why I'm saying, for me, it's exactly what Manny said. Keep it going. Go win more title. Go win more trophies. That's what you have to do. But I don't want to see a fall off. What I will not be okay with is if we do a domestic cup double, but we fall to fifth. Because I want to raise a point here. It's not like the big name teams are in the Europa Conference League or the Europa League this year. Bournemouth is going to be selling. Crystal Palace is going to be selling. And I'm not quite sure what the situation is going to be with Sunderland. That fifth position may not come to us this year. This could be an off year where we don't get the coefficient, where it's going to be even tighter at the top four race. And again, considering the amount of internationals that we have on the team, considering the amount of injuries that we have a World Cup in a shortened time to recover, to get ready to run it back next year. You need to be on point going forward. That's why, for me, standards stay the same. You still stay within the title race. If you don't win, I won't kill you, but you need to come away with two. You need to come away with the two domestic trophies then, if that's the case. Champions League is luck of the draw.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. I also actually would go so far to say that if we do suffer a fall off, like Liverpool did when they ended up going from first to fifth, and that drop off is actually what got Slot sacked. Because bear in mind, if it weren't for the poor state of the league, Liverpool would have been in a position where the likes of Bournemouth or even Brighton or anyone else would have overtaken them into fifth, and Liverpool would have been playing in the Europa League. So you're spot on there. If you have a drop off in the league from first to fifth or anywhere lower, that would be unforgivable. And that would be grounds to say, we can't keep you. Not even the domestic cup double would be enough. As far as the Champions League is concerned, I think it's fair to say that, we're probably not going to have as good a run in the Champions League as we did this year. I mean, we did well to make sure we won all our games. We got an easy enough draw. But the way this manager is, I think it's fair to say that when it comes to, cup competitions and cup finals, they're like his kryptonite, literally.
Can he get better, though, Manny? Can he get better, though?
That's the thing. That's why I say it's like his kryptonite. And a lot's going to depend on how he is going to be able to evolve next season. If he doesn't show the ability to be able to manage the game and sort of switch up his tactics almost immediately like the best managers are able to do, or at least have some good thought or good imagination, then I'm sorry, but he's just exposing himself as, as a BS artist who's half-arsing it, literally. And, people, what I really love about being on this space is that people like Gianni, people like you, Waffledon, and people like several others are able to see through what's going on. We can see through the BS and find out and just come to the conclusion, big up to Shane, Gooner, and everyone else, that this guy just simply is, a lucky manager. Anyone can set up a team, but it's how you literally manage that team really well that can determine whether or not you've got the cojones for it, or whatever you would say. And he brings on Max Darman against Everton, scores a late winner, hardly ever uses him again in the season. You can judge when it's time to use some of these young players as well. So he needs to
be getting minutes too. He needs to be getting some minutes coming into this next season.
So Darman and Waneri, we both agree, Gianni, should be the future of our team going forward.
Yes, along with Skelly.
But the most important thing is we need to make sure that we see some signs that Arteta is willing to evolve tactically as a manager and show some, improvement. And if we end up winning the Champions League, then I will happily have him stay. But people like us can actually see through everything and just find and just come to the conclusion that he really isn't it. And so as happy as we are that we won the league, we're not going overboard and celebrating it too much because we know that it wasn't really a very convincing win. I mean, I know you can't look a gift horse in its mouth, but you have to call a spade a spade. So next season, I would like to see a domestic cup double. And I definitely want us to try to, maintain getting to the Champions League final. And if we can win it, then I will give Arteta his credits. Because I'm
Champions
going to be
League,
honest with you.
I would say Champions League do not expect to fall off, because I am fully prepared to see, and from what we're hearing, that Madrid's going to invest big. The American ownership of Inter Milan has already come out and said that Inter's going to be getting upwards of 150 million to spend. So I would not count Inter Milan out. I think some of these other teams that had bad showings this year are going to be around. And again, I'm not going to be mad if he gets us a domestic cup double and we run it all the way to the end of the year fighting for the title, but we come up short. I'm not going to lose my hair if he gets knocked out in a quarterfinal or a semifinal. I'm not going to lose it, because that's just the luck of the draw. But like you said, it's continuing, putting your foot on the gas and continuing to win. I do not want to see we win and then next year it's third place with no trophies. I will have no time for that bullshit next year if that's the situation.
Absolutely. So I think we're all in agreement, and I'm sorry for waffling on, pun intended there, Dom. No trophies, no extension. And with that, I'm stopping the waffle. Back to you.
Yeah, man. Hey, just seen Rican come into the building. Big up Rican, man. Listen,
big up
man,
Gooner Rican.
Man, nearly 2 hours. I got to pack. I'm nearly ready to. Just got to pack my stuff now. And I've got to eat. So yeah, guys, it's been a.
Where are you off to, Don? By the way, you going on holiday?
Oh, it's Turkey's my home, man. My second home. I'll be off to Turkey, Antalya. Going to be there for a couple of weeks, so I'll be streaming out there as well from my place. So
but listen, one thing which I will say, with everything that's going on in the Middle East, and Turkey is not in that far proximity away, be safe, look after yourself.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. But what was I gonna say? Arteta owes you fan base a domestic cup. I believe he's thrown those two competitions too often.
Facts.
For the past few years.
Big facts, TTM. Big facts.
Especially last season. Can never forgive him for
that. Listen, City are still going to be in our heads, though. They're still going to be. All right. Before we go, sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you this: Arsenal versus the world. Mm-hmm. I know Johnny's just like, I don't give a shit. And Manny, we've seen it recently. The rivals. I've had discussions with Man United fans. I've had Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans. Everyone's against us now.
Here's the thing. This has been going on for a long time. Remember when back in the 80s and early 90s, Liverpool were winning everything? Leagues, European Cups, domestic cups. Everyone hated Liverpool. When Manchester United were winning everything under Alex Ferguson, everyone despised the Red Devils. They were devils in people's eyes. Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, he didn't get it together in Europe. The people didn't like Chelsea. They certainly didn't like Jose Mourinho. We hated him for what he said about Arsene Wenger, especially in failure of my foot. And then, the ironic thing is, like, now we've won the league. But I'm also going to sort of play the devil's advocate and say that for all of the talk that several idiots in our fan base were giving it the big large, saying we're going to do the quadruple, to come away with a fluked league, 2 failed domestic cup campaigns, and that heartbreak in Budapest, I think we have to look back on that and say that, it hasn't been as good as it should have been or could have been. It was good. And even Liverpool will tell you the previous season that they could have gone further in the Champions League, and they also could have done better in the cups themselves. I believe in the FA Cup they lost to Plymouth of all teams, although like us this year, they probably dodged a bullet because they would have had to play City in the next round, just like we would have had to play City in the semi-finals. But I don't care. Cups means that you have to go all out to win. And so I think for all of the big talk that we've been giving, rival fans do have a right to, give it back to us and say, look at you people, champions of Europe, you'll never sing that. Yeah. And so I'm going to say this right now. Until we actually prove ourselves by winning a Champions League, none of us have any right to say that we are too good for the Europa League or the Conference League, which were both this year also secured by English teams. Big up to Aston Villa under Unai Emery. Big up to Crystal Palace under Oliver Glasner. 2 quality managers who have both turned water into wine this season, especially when you consider, Gianni and Don, that Eze, we poached Eze from Palace and they still won a European trophy before Eze did. But we just need to make sure that we stay exceptionally humble and realize that as good as we are, as great as our history is, we cannot really compare ourselves to those really great teams just yet because we have an appalling European legacy. And we need to make sure that we are magnanimous enough to be gracious to other people. So it isn't so much Arsenal against the world. I think if we start to be a little bit more magnanimous collectively as a fan base and not so delusional, not so arrogant, not so clueless with our statements, we'll be respected a lot more. Yeah. The only problem is, as long as you have the AFTV crowd, as I like to call them, I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I just want to add into that. Arsenal fans, we can say whatever we want, but here's the biggest problem. We have the loudest fan base out of anybody else. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Our ultra positive that says crazy shit is the loudest ultra positive out of any of the other fan bases. When you got guys, and it's not just one or two, it's a lot, who after the Everton game, the block that Calafiori put up are trying to compare Calafiori to Paolo Maldini, that's when you have stupidity to why people hate Arsenal. When you have people trying to say that Saka gets in over Gareth Bale in the old Real Madrid squad as soon as he wins one Premier League title, when you look at the amount of trophies that Gareth Bale and that squad won at Real Madrid, that's where all the stupidity comes into play. So
saying Arteta's better than Alex Ferguson, of all
exactly.
things.
Trying to say that Arteta's better than Sir Alex Ferguson. There's no manager in the world better than Arteta. Again, let's all be real about something here. Yes, it comes with the territory. Like Manny said, every big team, everybody hated AC Milan in Italy because they dominated. They won 25 fucking trophies in the span of 20 years. Everybody hates the best. It is what it is. But like TTM said, the hate is what you live off of when you're the best. It comes with the territory. If you don't want to be hated, then be content with top 4 as a title and not winning any trophies or maybe an FA Cup run here and there. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to be the best team and to continue winning. So you have to deal with the hate whether you like it or not. It just comes with the territory of being the best. And what's the old saying? They hate us because they can't be us. That's what all the big teams always say. So unless you're content with winning a title once every 5 years and the banter that comes with that, then stay content with what we used to do. But we're not here for that. We want to be the best. We want to see Arsenal go on a period of dominance. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? So unless everybody here is content with just one Premier League title and we go, exactly. This is exactly what I was dancing around because I'm not going to say names and shit. But that is exactly the situation here. When you have guys comparing people to people that they don't deserve to be compared to, that's where hate and everything comes up with. So it is what it is.
Right. I need to eat my dinner now, people. Listen, people, we're going to be lively across the summer with the transfers. I think there's going to be a lot of transfers happening very, very soon. So WhatsApp group, make sure you're lively. Manny, I need to get your number, I'll send you a message because we've got a WhatsApp group, if you want to, you're welcome to join if you want. You know, we've got the likes of we've got Sammy, we've got everyone in there, anyway. So if you want to join, then it's all Arsenal lads as well. So I'll drop you a message. Okay, I've got it here. Okay, that's cool. I've got that. So people, thank you very much for everything this evening. It's been a great discussion with my boys, Manny and Johnny. Make sure you go and subscribe to Johnny Talks Calcio, is it? Johnny Talks
Calcio.
Oh, Calcio. Make sure you go and sign up to him, guys. And Manny, do you have a channel where you just a floater, innit?
Yeah, I float. I'm a little bit like Kenny Ken, although I can't compare myself to him. But Jez, big up to him. He says that I remind him of Kenny Ken, and I sort of consider Kenny Ken to be a little bit of a spirit animal of mine because we think very similarly on similar lines. But do catch me on social media. On Instagram, it is Manny Thangadore 1981. You can also find me on Threads at the same handle. But on Twitter, my old account sadly got hacked. So I am going to take the liberty, if I may, Don, of just I'll just put I'm going to put my new Twitter ID in the chat so that people can follow me there. And let me just see if I can find the live one. Hold on. Hold on. Sure. Yep. Okay, just got to the video. So I'll put it in the chat right now. Do please follow me on that Twitter account. It's a new one. I just restarted it a few days ago. and you can catch me talking about all things football, all things politics. And I'm sorry it's taking a little bit too long, but it is what it is. Yeah, that is exactly the same thing. It's
I know you had a big account before. I remember you had a. So that one got hacked. That big account, yeah. That you had
yes, I don't know what's going on. It's like, this particular thing, miscreant will, it'll find its way into people's accounts and send you a message asking you to click a link, and then before you know it, your email gets changed, and
God.
it's stupid. I mean, I feel stupid for having it happen to me like this, but
it happens to everybody, Manny. Don't worry about it. It happens to everybody.
It doesn't happen to me.
Yeah,
it does not happen to me because I know about all of the things.
So this is actually so now you know that it's the same as my YouTube ID. My Twitter ID is also the same. If you can see that, if it's there in the chat, you can just put it there, and that is where you can follow me on Twitter.
It's not there. Do they not? You might have to. You didn't put @ or anything like that. Did you just put? I can't see it on the chat.
Yeah, it didn't pop up in the chat, Manny.
Let me try again. Okay, listen. I'm gonna have to remove the @ sign.
Yeah, just put it in just normal.
Yeah. So it's the same as my YouTube ID, and I know you've got to go, Don, but I'm also going to pop off. I've got some other work to do. But big up to you, and big up to Gianni, big up to the chat. Thank you all for your contributions. And I'm not really looking forward to the World Cup for certain reasons. I'm not really going to watch it, but I might be doing some work sort of away from it, just doing some football analysis stuff. Do check me out on the Bournemouth fan channel, Up the Cherries in all departments. We will be doing some work for the World Cup and also having some discussions about Bournemouth's historic first European campaign. It's nice to get away from the Arsenal echo chamber at times.
Yeah, definitely. Johnny, what you got coming up?
I'm going to be doing a Premier League review call-in show. I don't know if it might be tonight. If not, it'll definitely be tomorrow. And the fallout of Allegri being hired at Napoli. We already have Kevin De Bruyne talking about leaving. We have a whole situation going on over there in Napoli, and the continued investigation into the prostitution ring and game fixing ring that is going on right now in Italy. Because you know us Italians, we love our corruption.
That's mad.
You boys have problems. And I'm going to say right now, when it comes to you Neapolitans, and maybe Antonio will agree with me, you really are sadomasochists or gluttons for punishment.
Yeah.
Hey, and on that note, people, we're going to be out of here, man. Listen, people, next show, I'll be in Turkey and I'll do a stream from there. Peace, love, and community. We are out.